Ekabo, and welcome to another live stream of the Ifa Orisha tradition discussion. And before I begin today's show, where we will be discussing rites, or what we refer to as rites of passage, rituals, let me offer the Iba. Opweni Folorun, Olodumare Oba Jiki, Mojuloni, Mowogun Meriaye, Iba Ila Orun, Iba Iwo Orun, Iba Ariwa, Iba Gusu, Iba Oba Igba Aye, Iba Orun Oke, Iba Baba, Iba Yeye, Iba Atiwa, Orun, Iba She Gungun Kiki Gungun, Iba She Ori, Ori Inu, Ipori Atiwa, Orun. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. All right, so today we are going to discuss what we refer to in the diaspora as rites of passage. All right, we're going to discuss a rite that is called in West Africa Esentaye by some, Akosejaye by others, Ikosejaye, as well as Esentaye and Imori. All right, Esentaye, Akosejaye, or Ikosejaye, these mean the same thing, but in different tongues and dialect within Yoruba land. It is the traditional process of knowing the destiny of a newborn baby, which will define his name and his or her ways. Akosejaye is the ancient way of knowing the life chart of a soul in a new physical body of a particular person now coming to earth, or to be a part of their life on earth. It is a special divination and ritual for a baby to know the future and taboos of the baby. This can be done the 3rd to 6th day of birth, before the baby is 17 days old. It cannot be done in absentia, meaning the child has to be present, because the foot of the baby must touch the open Ifa, among other things. It is advisable to do it only in the presence of the mother and the father, because the information that would be shared during the process, a new name would be given after the process, because the Odu Ifa that will be casted will reveal the vital information, taboo, and life chart of the baby. If the baby is taken to a Babalawo or priest or Ifa priest. All right, now this reading that I just did came from a book by the name of Oso Moloroko that is written by Olusegun Daramola. All right, and in this book it explains quite a bit, but I'm not going to do too much more reading from the book. I'm just going to sort of explain what I just read. All right, now a name is very, very important, because even in common usage, we normally name things based on their purpose and their function, so that when you communicate with others and you use a particular word to describe something by the very word that is used in the mind of the individual, a clear concept is drawn in the mind's eye of what you are talking about, based on the fact that that particular thing has a particular usage, purpose, and function. With human beings, a name also in most cultured society represents the qualities and the virtues of the individual for whom that name was given. So a name is very important because of this. Not only that, but also given the fact that the name describes the quality of a thing. Every time you call a thing by its name, what you are doing is you are bringing to life the qualities that is described by the name given to the person. So hence a name is very important. In our traditional rituals, once a Dafa is performed, it would give an idea about the child that we are welcoming. It would give an idea of the characteristics, the personalities, what the child is here to do, a blueprint for the child's life. So based on what we see from the Dafa concerning the child's life, then a name that is fitting for this child is selected based on that reading. Also, based on what I read earlier, things such as taboos, and by the term taboo we simply mean what is considered to not be of good benefit to the child. Anything that is not good for that child is going to be listed as a taboo. And the parents during this ritual will be told and will be guided in such a way that they would be able to make the early choices for the child. While the child is not able to make their own choices, the parent will guide the child along the path that is indicated through the Odu. That's one. And also the things that the child is not allowed to have or participate in, the parents would be informed. Hence, they would be given the responsibility to protect the child from those things. All right? And in so doing, they would also be able to guide and nurture the life of that child in a direction that would allow the child to develop its innate abilities that they were born with. All right? Let me read a little bit more, and then that's going to be it for today's discussion. Just like every ritual in Yoruba land, there are different ways of performing Akosejaye. It is a tradition, and it is slightly different from one place to another due to dialect, lineage, and household. And while we are on this, let me just say this. That principle does not only apply to Akosejaye or Esentaye. It applies to a lot of the practices that are associated to the tradition. Because of the different lineages, many rituals are performed differently. Even some of the orikis are recited differently. Okay, and this is a difference that a person must consider, especially in the diaspora, if you are practicing Isheshe. Depending on the lineage to which you belong, they would have their own unique way of doing things. So in the diaspora, if you are part of a community and you have persons in that community that belongs to different lineages, there is no need for there to be fights, confusion, or disagreement. When we simply have to acknowledge the fact that a person's teaching and learning, if it is from a different lineage, it is not going to be the same as your own. All right? Now, in this case here that we're reading, we learn that there are variations because of language, lineage, and households. Okay, so you may attend a ritual or a ceremony associated to Esentaye or Akosejaye, even in Trinidad, and you may see the person responsible for the ritual performing it slightly differently. It doesn't mean one is more knowledgeable than the other. It means their knowledge is different. That's all it means. All right? So I'm going to read that last paragraph, and then that's going to be it for this particular lesson. Orisha priests and priestesses also perform this ritual for their own children. Different chants and terms are chosen depending on the family lineage. For example, Igungun, Egbe, and Oro. Olode tradition is to use Obi, which is Kola nut, to divine during the Esentaye, while family lineages like the Obaluaye, Shongo, Oshun, Obatala, and Yemonja, etc., use Merendulugun, which is basically 16 Cowries. All right, so again, what is we just got is an example of some of the differences of how this particular ritual is practiced in different houses in Nigeria. All right, so basically that is the lesson for this week. I wanted to talk about the importance of a name. I wanted to talk about the ritual or the rite of